Welcome to Spooky History. In this episode, we're in a village named Husbands Bosworth in the county of Leicestershire, England, and a tale of witchcraft. The year 1616. The boy in question we're about to meet is a 13-year-old with the world's most unusual name, John Smith. And he's having fits, violent ones, hysterical ones. How his body contracts will turn your blood cold. For a young kid, it theoretically shouldn't take so many men to try holding him down, but they simply can't. Nothing will calm the boy. The noises, squawks, screams, cries he utters are inhuman, animalistic. The strange languages he speaks, Hebrew, Greek. He beats himself hundreds of times with the strength of a giant, yet no visible bruises or injuries are apparent. What could possibly have inflicted such misery on this poor, accursed boy? He does have an answer, one nobody can ignore. The Witchcraft Act has already been passed by King James I, 6th of Scotland, 12 years prior. Found guilty of conjuration or dealing with evil and wicked spirits, you're sentenced to death. End of. Everyone was on high alert, whether in fear of witches or of being accused themselves. So the moment this kid named no less than 15 local women of possessing him with their nasty animal familiars, his family were on the case, including 2 judges of assize, Sir Ranulph Crewe and Sir Humphrey Winch. In July of 1616, 9 of the Bosworth witches were put on trial. First, 6 were told to exorcise the boy of those terrible demons, thereby both saving him and proving their guilt in the process. You can imagine how these poor hapless women must have felt, standing there with a raging kid and accusing eyes piercing them all over. The exorcising chant was supposed to run thus: I, such a one, charge the whores, if I be a witch, that thou come forth of the child. Almost needless to say, that initial attempt achieved bugger all for anyone. That day, all 9 women swung dead by the noose before the sun was even down. It seems this wasn't enough, however, for in October that same year, John Smith, that 13-year-old, accused 6 more women. All were carted off to the Inquisition, and allegedly one died in prison after confessing witchcraft to the jailer, so he said. Anyway, and then there were 5. And here's the biggest irony of all. The hottest book around at the time was Demonology by the big dude himself, Mr. Witchy Expert. Here he comes. Give it up for King Bloody James. Everybody, woohoo! Behold, the big daddy-o. The reason we're all safe from witches now and catching all the satanic whores we can. Without him, all these witches would still be poisoning our minds, pooing in our wheat, giving us zits, spreading more plagues, and eating our budgies. What? Oh, never mind. Anyway, King James, the man. Here he is. How's it hanging, your highness? Oh, yeah, you heard right. Got some witches for you. Oi, Nigel, bring them in. Chop chop. Possessing this poor kid with their cats, dogs, horses, fish, you know how it is. Give 'em a hen, they'll take a zoo. What? Oh, the boy. John Smith's the name. Yeah, weird-ass name, I know, but apart from that, he... Oh, 13 years old. Why? Look, let's get something straight. King James has a lot to answer for. Because of his book and the part he played in initiating mass hysteria across Britain, resulting in the needless torture and execution of so many innocent people, I used to hate him myself. But at first I was unaware that despite his passionate superstitions, he was not half as paranoid as some of the judges and public out there, and certainly not as malicious. There was some common sense in the man, and guess who'd just come to town? I don't believe the remaining 5 Bosworth witches would have lived to see their next birthdays if King James hadn't heard of the trials. Naturally curious, he met the teenager John Smith. He was not impressed. In short, he faced the king himself. John Smith lost his shit and crumbled, confessing fraud. The 5 women were released and cleared of all charges. Not a good thing for the 2 judges' records, who had already hanged 9 women, now deemed innocent.
I made a huge tiny mistake.
King James even gave playwright Ben Jonson leave to write his comedy, The Devil is an Ass, mocking the easily led courts. It wasn't the only example where false testimony of children was involved. 1612, 9-year-old Jeanette Device testified against her own mother, brother, sister and 12 others in the Pendle witch trials. Ironically, later in life she was accused and imprisoned for witchcraft herself. 1676. The Swedish courts learn an evil priest, Laurentius Christofori Horneus, has been forcing children to make false accusations which led to the execution of nearly 100 people for witchcraft. It doesn't bear thinking about what he put these children through. Suffice it to say, he physically and psychologically tortured these children. And of course 1692, the Salem witch trials. Notably, Abigail Williams and Betty Paris, two young kids who accused adult locals but repeatedly pleaded their innocence. It was a tough one. We can't afford to risk child neglect by ignoring kids' testimony. But tragic as the situation was, it quickly became a cautionary tale which as a result may have saved many more lives in future witch trials before people finally lightened up and realised witches were cool. I hope you enjoyed that episode. You can find us on most social media, Spooky Hist Show, and you can support us with donations at paypal.me/noisyghostend. If you have suggestions for future episodes, we'd love to hear them. Just leave them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and please do have nightmares. Goodbye.